Hey guys, tonight we're staging a jailbreak, not from a prison of stone and steel, but from a prison of the mind. They are silent, weightless, and polished by constant repetition from well-meaning parents, teachers, and a society that values conformity over courage. They are forged not from malice, but from fear. It started as a whisper on Sunday evenings, a feeling of dread about the coming Monday. That sense of a vast ocean of potential just beyond a glass wall you can't seem to find a way to break. It laid out 13 principles, 13 concrete steps to translate a burning desire into its physical equivalent. Failure is an active, insidious force, a system of thought and behavior that traps people in mediocrity. And this system is built upon a foundation of lies we tell ourselves, and lies the world tells us. These lies are the chains. They are the faulty programming that runs in the background of our minds, sabotaging our best efforts. The devil he interrogates is a powerful literary metaphor, a personification of every negative, self-limiting, and destructive force that operates within the human mind and society. It is the voice of fear, doubt, procrastination, and envy. Hill defines this devil as the negative energy that constitutes half of all reality, the force that governs the minds of those who do not actively take control of their own thoughts. He puts this force on a metaphysical witness stand, and through a series of masterful, Socratic questions, he compels it to confess its secrets. He forces it to reveal exactly how it ensnares humanity, how it builds the mental prisons we discussed, and how it keeps 98% of people a figure the devil itself claims trapped in a state of aimless mediocrity. They are the reason someone can read, think, and grow rich cover to cover, feel inspired for a week, and then slip right back into their old patterns of procrastination, doubt, and fear. They possess the map, but are still locked in the cell. But what many people don't realize is that Hill's investigation didn't stop there. It requires the keys to the lock. It requires a direct confrontation with the jailer. Hill understood this, a book so controversial, so startling in its claims, that his own family suppressed its publication for over 7 years. Written in 1938, just a year after Think and Grow Rich, this text was locked away, deemed too radical for a world not yet ready to confront its own demons so directly. It was only in 2011 that the world finally got to read the secret transcript of Napoleon Hill, as conversation with the ultimate source of failure. The book is called Outwitting the Devil, and within its pages, Hill doesn't just give you a map, he gives you the enemy's battle plans. He knew that to truly liberate people, he had to expose these foundational lies for what they are. He had to drag them out of the shadows of our subconscious and into the harsh light of day, showing us precisely how they operate and why they hold such power over us. He had to teach us not just how to build, but how to demolish the prison first. What if the most profound truths about success weren't found by only studying the lives of saints and titans? What if the real secret, the master key, was found by dissecting the very anatomy of failure, by understanding the enemy in its most cunning and deceptive form? Napoleon Hill did exactly that. He went deeper than any motivational teacher before or since. He decided to interrogate the source of all human failure itself. He understood that knowing what to do is only half the battle. The other half, the more difficult half, is understanding the forces that actively work to prevent you from doing it. This is the condition Napoleon Hill dedicated his life to diagnosing and curing. Over 100 years ago, he embarked on a 20-year quest, commissioned by the industrial titan Andrew Carnegie, to study the most successful people in the world. He interviewed Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, John D. Rockefeller, the giants who built modern America. He wasn't just looking for what they did. He was looking for how they thought. He wanted to understand the mental architecture of achievement. It grew into a palpable sense of emptiness during long meetings about trivial subjects that had no connection to his soul. He looked at the next 10, 20, 30 years of his life, and all he could see was a straight, unwavering line of more of the same. More meetings, incremental promotions, a slightly bigger paycheck, a slightly nicer car. The safety he had been promised felt like a cage. The stability felt like stagnation. He was running on the hamster wheel, and the only reward for running faster was a faster wheel. Alex was bound by the modern chains of failure, a prisoner of good advice. The fear of standing out, the fear of failing, the fear of choosing a path that isn't already paved. And because they are invisible, we often don't realize we are bound by them until decades have passed, and we find ourselves standing in a life that feels safe, stable, and suffocatingly small. We look in the mirror and see a stranger who followed the map perfectly, only to arrive at the wrong destination. A prison built from the good advice we've been fed our entire lives, constructed brick by brick with words of caution and conventional wisdom. Alex is a composite of millions, a perfect product of the system. From a young age, the first chain was fastened. Get good grades, they said, and you'll get into a good college. So he did. He sacrificed weekends, memorized facts and figures, and excelled within the structured world of academia. At graduation, the second chain was added. Get a safe, secure job with a good company, they advised, one with benefits and a pension. So he did. He polished his resume, aced the interviews, and landed a respectable position in a large corporation. He bought a sensible car, rented a nice apartment, and every 2 weeks, a predictable paycheck appeared in his bank account. He was the embodiment of the dream they sold him. He was doing everything right. We're going to talk about the 7 most dangerous lies about success lies, so deeply embedded in our culture that we mistake them for truth. These are the invisible chains that keep good, hardworking people from achieving true wealth, fulfillment, and freedom. And our guide, our locksmith in this escape, is a man who spent his life studying the masters of the game and the demons that defeat us. Napoleon Hill. This isn't just about thinking positive. It's about thinking differently. It's about breaking the rules you didn't even know you were following. So, if you've ever felt like you're running on a hamster wheel, doing everything you're supposed to do but getting nowhere, then this is for you. Tonight, we find the keys. These modern chains of failure don't clink. They don't rust. Consider the story of a man we'll call Alex. But a quiet hum of dissatisfaction began to resonate deep within him. Does Alex's story sound familiar? Perhaps not the exact details, but the feeling, that haunting suspicion that there is more to life than this. The result of that initial quest was the legendary book, Think and Grow Rich, a blueprint for success that has sold tens of millions of copies and created countless millionaires. He realized that failure isn't a passive event. It's not simply the absence of success. Unlocking that cell requires more than just a map to a new destination. And this interrogation was not a simple thought experiment. It became the manuscript for his most dangerous and profound work. To be clear, Hill was not claiming to have sat down for a literal chat with a horned entity from the underworld. The core of the devil's power, as it confesses to Hill, lies in a single, universal human habit, drifting. A drifter, in Hill's terminology, is a person who allows themselves to be floated through life by the currents of circumstance. It promotes it through the school systems that teach memorization, without teaching independent thought. It promotes it through parents who urge their children towards safe careers, instead of true callings. They are the confessed secrets of failure itself, extracted under duress by the one man who had the courage to ask the ultimate question. How do you control the minds of men? Everything that follows is a revelation from that secret interrogation. We are about to read from the devil's own playbook, the blueprint it uses to build prisons of mediocrity around good people like Alex, and perhaps, like us. He absorbed its ethos from every podcast, every motivational Instagram post. Richard is going to be a millionaire one day, they'd say. He works harder than anyone. He had sacrificed his health, his relationships, and his peace of mind on the altar of hustle, and he had nothing to show for it but a mountain of debt and a profound sense of failure. He had done everything he was told to do. He had outworked, out-hustled, and outsuffered everyone around him. So why had he failed? He failed because he fell for the devil's favorite lie. He mistook motion for direction. His energy was a powerful river, but without the dam and turbines of a single, definite purpose. It just flooded the landscape, creating a swamp of unfinished projects and broken dreams. But beneath the surface, a different story was unfolding. His main design business suffered because his attention was split in 5 different directions. The t-shirt store made a few sales but required constant marketing he didn't have time for. The YouTube channel languished with a handful of videos and few subscribers. The crypto market dipped and his investment evaporated. The dropshipping store was a logistical nightmare. Every new opportunity was a new leak in the boat of his energy and focus. He was paddling furiously in a dozen different directions at once, and the net result was that he was just spinning in circles, slowly taking on water. His motto was rise and grind. He woke up at 5 a.m., answered emails before his family was awake, and worked late into the night, long after they had gone to sleep. His goal was vague but intense: to be a successful entrepreneur. What did that mean? He wasn't entirely sure. It meant making a lot of money, being his own boss, and earning the respect of his peers. So he hustled. He started a freelance design business, but he also launched a print-on-demand t-shirt store because he heard it was a good passive income stream. He started a YouTube channel teaching design tips. He invested in cryptocurrency because a client told him it was the future. He even dabbled in drop shipping a trendy kitchen gadget. Understanding these lies is the first, most crucial step in rendering them powerless. It is time to turn on the lights in the cell and see the bars for what they truly are. And the very first lie, the cornerstone of this entire prison of the mind, is one that has been sold to us as the highest virtue of work ethic. It promotes it through a media landscape that thrives on fear and distraction. It's the lie that success is a direct and proportional result of raw effort. We are told, from the moment we can comprehend words, that the key is simply to work hard. It is the hymn of the hamster wheel, the mantra of the martyr, the belief that sheer brute force labor will inevitably carve a path to victory. The devil, in his confession to Hill, admits he adores this lie. He promotes it relentlessly because it is an ingenious trap that masquerades as a virtue. It convinces good, ambitious people to pour their finite life energy into a black hole of aimless activity, all while feeling noble and productive. It is the perfect recipe for burnout, disillusionment, and ultimately, surrender. The entire system is subtly engineered to produce a world of drifters, because a drifter is clay in the devil's hands. In fact, they are often the most exhausted people you will ever meet. They are the entrepreneurs juggling 5 different side hustles, the employees working 60-hour weeks to prove their worth, the students pulling all-nighters fueled by caffeine and desperation. They are always in motion, their calendars are always full, their minds are always racing. But motion is not progress. Activity is not achievement. The devil's greatest triumph is to take the powerful human drive for success and misdirect it, channeling it into frantic, purposeless action. Why? Because effort without a definite chief aim is like trying to chop down a giant redwood with a spoon. You will be very busy, you will sweat, you will work harder than anyone else. But the tree will not fall. Eventually, you will collapse in exhaustion, look at the unmarked bark of the tree, and conclude that the tree is simply too big, or that you are simply not strong enough. You will give up, and the devil will have claimed another soul for the ranks of the drifters. Their mind is fertile soil where the seeds of fear, doubt, and limitation can be planted and grown with ease. They have no major purpose, no definite plan, no self-discipline. They react to life instead of creating it. They are influenced by every negative suggestion, every newspaper headline, every discouraging opinion from friends and family. Their mind is like an uncaptained ship at sea, tossed about by every wave and wind, destined to eventually crash upon the rocks of failure and despair. The opposite of a drifter is a non-drifter. This is the person who has a definite chief aim, a burning obsession that guides their every thought and action. They think for themselves, control their own mental attitude, and steer their ship with purpose, regardless of the storm. The devil admits to Hill, with a chilling sense of pride, that its greatest trick is to encourage drifting. And how does the devil plant these seeds? Through a carefully crafted system of propaganda. A set of foundational lies that sound so reasonable, so logical, that drifters accept them as gospel truth. These lies form the bars of the cage. They are designed to paralyze will, extinguish desire, and normalize failure. They are the devil's primary weapons. The core tenets of the hypnotic rhythm it uses to lull the 98% into a lifetime of quiet desperation. In this cosmic courtroom, Napoleon Hill, acting as the prosecutor for all of humanity, forces the devil to lay these weapons on the table, one by one. He makes it explain not only what the lies are, but why they are so devastatingly effective. So the 7 lies we are about to dissect are not just my interpretation, or some modern self-help guru-esque list. They come directly from the source. The first, and perhaps most seductive lie, the one that forms the very foundation of the modern prison of mediocrity, is the gospel of hustle. This is the lie that builds a world of busy drifters. They are not lazy. Consider the story of a man named Richard, a brilliant and energetic graphic designer. Richard was a true believer in the hustle culture. Richard was the busiest man he knew. His friends and family marveled at his work ethic. After 2 years of this relentless grind, Richard found himself broke, burnout, and deeply depressed. Napoleon Hill's counter-truth, the secret that dismantles this lie, is the principle of definiteness of purpose. Hill discovered that every single high achiever he studied, without exception, was driven by one single, all-consuming obsession. Henry Ford wasn't just hustling to build a business. His definite chief aim was to put a motor car on the road that every family could afford. It is the deeply ingrained belief that formal education guarantees wealth and success. We are ranked and sorted from an early age based on our ability to absorb and regurgitate information. The path is laid out for us: high school, college, perhaps a master's degree or a PhD. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who commissioned Hill's work, had only a few years of formal schooling. His real education took place in the telegraph office and the railroad yards. Ford understood a principle that the credentialed lawyers did not. An educated person is not one who has a head full of facts, but one who has so developed the faculties of their mind that they can acquire anything they want or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. He understood the power of what Hill called specialized knowledge. He didn't need to know everything. He needed to know where to find the knowledge and how to organize it into a definite plan of action. His power didn't come from his diploma, he didn't have one. It came from his clarity of purpose and his ability to assemble a mastermind group of experts who could provide the specialized knowledge he lacked. Thomas Edison was famously pulled out of public school after only a few months because his teacher declared him addled. His mother, a former teacher herself, educated him at home, nurturing his insatiable curiosity rather than stifling it. Henry Ford, the man who revolutionized modern manufacturing and put the world on wheels, never went to college. His knowledge of mechanics was not learned in a pristine engineering lab, but in the grime and grease of farm work, tinkering with machines, taking them apart and putting them back together. Each step is a higher rung on a ladder that is supposed to lead to a higher salary, greater prestige, and a better life. To prove he was ignorant, the newspaper-esque lawyers put Ford on the witness stand and began grilling him with a barrage of trivia questions. Who was Benedict Arnold? How many soldiers did the British send over to suppress the rebellion in 1776? Ford, growing tired of the pedantic questions, finally pointed a finger at the prosecuting attorney and said, "If I should really want to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of 1,000 other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions, When I have men around me who can supply any knowledge I require, we spend years and often go into crippling debt in pursuit of these credentials, believing they are the golden ticket. But the devil, in his confession to hell, reveals the cruel joke. The system is designed to teach you what to think, not how to think. It rewards conformity and punishes originality. It teaches facts from the past, but rarely equips students with the audacity to create the future. It produces excellent employees, but not necessarily powerful creators or visionary leaders. This is the promise whispered to us in classrooms and lecture halls, the sacred covenant between student and institution. Go to school, get the degree, and the world will roll out the red carpet for you. The devil loves this lie with a particular passion because it outsources personal responsibility to a system. It convinces people that the accumulation of diplomas and certifications is the same as the accumulation of power. It creates a class of individuals who are rich in academic credentials, but impoverished in practical application and courage. They become what he'll call the educated derelicts, people so stuffed with theory that they are paralyzed in the face of reality. Every action, every decision, every waking thought was filtered through that one specific goal. Thomas Edison didn't just work hard in his lab. He was driven by the definite chief aim of creating a practical, incandescent light bulb. Knowledge is information that has been organized and classified for a specific purpose. But wisdom, the kind that builds empires and changes the world, is the ability to apply that knowledge effectively, to translate it into action and results. The university can give you information. It might even help you organize it into knowledge, but it can rarely grant you wisdom. Wisdom is earned in the trenches of experience, through trial, error, and the relentless application of what you know. He famously tried thousands of materials for the filament. A reporter asked him if he felt like a failure after so many attempts. Edison replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset is impossible without a definite chief aim. A hustler would have given up after 100 attempts and moved on to the next shiny object. A person with a definite purpose sees every failure as a necessary step on the only path that matters. The devil confesses that nothing terrifies it more than a person who crystallizes their thoughts into a single, burning purpose. Because at that moment, they cease to be a drifter. Their mind is no longer open to the winds of suggestion and doubt. They have a rudder and a compass. They stop asking, "What new thing can I do today?" and start asking, "Does this action move me closer to my one great goal?" This question is the ultimate shield against the lie of hustle. It forces you to say no to the 1,000 good ideas so you can say yes to the one great one. It transforms work from a frantic, exhausting scramble into a calm, powerful, and deliberate advance. The first step in breaking free from this chain is not to work harder. It is to stop working entirely, to sit down in silence, and to refuse to do another thing until you have clearly defined, in writing, exactly what you want. Until you do that, all the hustle in the world is just a lullaby the devil sings to keep you asleep. The second lie is the dutiful child of the first, a natural progression in the devil's strategy to domesticate human potential. The modern world is built on this premise. The danger of this lie is that it equates information with knowledge and knowledge with wisdom. They are not the same. Information is just raw data. To dismantle this lie, Hill points to the giants he studied. One of the most powerful anecdotes Hill shares is of Henry Ford. Enslave sued against a Chicago newspaper that had called him an ignorant pacifist. That answer left the courtroom in stunned silence. It was a masterclass in the true nature of education. The devil thrives when we place our faith in institutions instead of in ourselves. He wants us to believe that the sheepskin on the wall is more valuable than the fire in our belly. He wants us to spend our lives collecting tools instead of building something with them. The truth that shatters this lie is that your education truly begins the day you leave school. Understanding these fears, giving them a name, and seeing them for the phantoms they are is the first step in neutralizing them. It is the most destructive of the fears, Hill argues, because it drives people to make life decisions based on a need for security rather than a desire. for fulfillment. It's the fear that keeps people in jobs they hate, that prevents them from investing in themselves, and that makes them hoard resources instead of creating wealth. It's a fear of scarcity in a universe of abundance. It's a forward-looking fear that can poison the present, causing people to feel it's too late to start over, change careers, or pursue a lifelong passion. Hill suggests that all other fears are, in some way, related to this one. It is the fear of annihilation, of the end of consciousness. The devil uses this fear to create a sense of urgency about trivial matters and a sense of procrastination about the things that truly matter, like creating a legacy or living a life of purpose. It's the fear of ridicule, of disapproval, of not fitting in. It can manifest as hypochondria, an obsession with symptoms, and a constant anxiety about the body's fragility. The devil doesn't need to invent new ways to control you. He just needs to trigger one of these 6 ancient, hardwired anxieties. The courageous person. The non-drifter is not someone who feels no fear. That person doesn't exist. The courageous person is someone who feels the fear and acts anyway. They have redefined its meaning. When they feel the knot of fear in their stomach before a big decision, they don't say, "This is a warning." They say, "This is an invitation." This is where the growth happens, in its more subtle form. It becomes an excuse. I can't start the business. It would be distressful and bad for my health. I'm too old to learn that new skill. It's a fear that focuses the mind on decay rather than on vitality and purpose. This fear is the assassin of originality. It causes people to mute their true opinions, hide their creative ideas, and conform to social norms, even when those norms are detrimental to their own goals. The devil uses this fear to build a society of imitators, ensuring that no one dares to be different enough to challenge the status quo. It begins when you take responsibility for your own learning, when you identify the specialized knowledge you need to achieve your definite purpose, and you begin to acquire it relentlessly through experience, mentorship, and self-directed study. It often leads to jealousy, suspicion, and a willingness to tolerate unhealthy relationships to avoid being alone. In the context of achievement, it can stop someone from pursuing a big dream for fear that their partner or family won't support them or might even leave them if they change too much. The world does not pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do with what you know. And that is a lesson that is rarely taught in a classroom. It is the secret of the uneducated titans who build the world. And it is the key to breaking free from the illusion that a piece of paper can never be a substitute for a mind that knows how to think. Once a person is trapped in the cycles of aimless hustle and the false security of formal education, the devil deploys his most powerful and paralyzing weapon, fear. The third great lie we are told is that fear is a signal to stop. It is presented as a rational, protective mechanism, a wise inner counselor warning us of danger. Feeling scared, that's a sign you're on the wrong path, nervous about that presentation. Maybe you're not ready. Afraid of starting your own business. It's too risky. Stay where you are. This lie is the jailer's whisper, the sedative that keeps us locked inside our comfort zones, which are, in reality, cages of our own making. The devil confesses to Hill that fear is his primary agent of control. It is the entry point through which he seizes control of the mind and initiates the habit of drifting. The truth, the one that the world's greatest achievers live by, is the polar opposite. Fear is not a stop sign. Fear is a compass. It is a biological and psychological indicator that you are standing at the edge of your current capabilities. It is a signpost that points directly toward the thing you must do next to grow. The presence of fear does not mean you are on the wrong path. It means you are on the right path, the path of expansion, courage, and self-mastery. The things we fear the most are often the very things that will liberate us. The difficult conversation, the bold request, the public speech, the launch of a new venture, these are the gateways to a larger life. By teaching us to interpret, fear is a reason to retreat. The devil ensures those gates remain forever locked. Napoleon Hill, in his deep analysis of the human condition, identified 6 basic fears that haunt humanity and serve as the devil's primary tools. The fear of poverty. This is not just the fear of being penniless, but the fear of debt, of financial dependence, of not having enough. The fear of criticism. This is the fear of what other people will think or say. The fear of ill health. This is the fear of sickness, aging, and death. The fear of loss of love. This is the primal fear of being abandoned or rejected by a loved one. The fear of old age. This is the fear of becoming useless, of losing one's physical and mental agility, and of being left behind by a rapidly changing world. The fear of death, the ultimate fear of the unknown. Look at this list. These 6 fears are the specters that haunt the drifter's mind. Think of the legendary orator Demosthenes of ancient Athens. He was born with a severe speech impediment, a weak voice, and a crippling fear of public speaking. By the devil's logic, fear was a clear signal for him to stop. You break the third lie not by trying to eliminate fear, but by changing your relationship to it. The fourth great lie is the myth of the rugged individual, the solitary genius, the lone wolf who conquers the world single-handedly. Your fears echo back at you in the empty chamber of your own mind. It is the principle of the mastermind. A mastermind, as Hill defined it, is the coordination of knowledge, but when you combine them in the right proportion, how? You get water, a substance with properties that neither of the original elements possessed. A mastermind alliance works the same way. It creates a sum that is exponentially greater than its parts. The 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence were, in effect, forming a mastermind group. They were a diverse collection of farmers, lawyers, merchants, and scholars individually. They had their flaws, their fears, and their limitations. If any one of them had tried to take on the full might of the British Empire alone, they would have been crushed instantly. But by pledging their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to one another, they created a collective intelligence and a spiritual force so powerful that it gave birth to a new nation. They were no longer 56 separate men. They were one mind, one will, dedicated to the definite purpose of liberty. It is the source of the magic behind every great achievement in human history. His usual tools of fear and doubt are rendered useless. It requires humility, the willingness to admit that you don't have all the answers. It requires trust, the willingness to be vulnerable and share your biggest dreams and challenges with others. And it requires discernment, the ability to choose members for your mastermind who are in complete harmony with your purpose and your values. Your first step is to identify your definite chief aim. Your second step should be to ask yourself, who can I ally with to help me achieve it? Look for people who have the knowledge, experience, or resources you lack. Look for people who believe in your vision and whose own vision you can support. Start by forming a group of just 2. Meet regularly. Maintain a spirit of perfect harmony and focus all your conversations on the attainment of your definite purposes. The moment you do this, you stop being a lone wolf and start becoming the leader of a pack. You stop being a target and start becoming an unstoppable force. When one member of the group feels fear, the others provide courage. When one member is plagued by doubt, the others provide faith. When one member faces a problem they cannot solve, the collective third mind generates a solution. The group acts as a psychic shield, an incubator for ideas, and a powerful engine for action. It is the ultimate antidote to the lie of self-reliance. An effort and a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. He was not talking about simple teamwork. This is something far deeper, almost mystical in its power. Hill stated that when 2 or more minds come together in a spirit of perfect harmony, a third, invisible, intangible force has created, a third mind that can be tapped into by all members of the group. This third mind has access to insights, solutions, and creative energies that are unavailable to any of the individual minds on their own. You have no one to challenge your negative assumptions, no one to offer a fresh perspective, no one to lend you strength when your own is failing. The lone wolf starves, not from a lack of prey, but from the inability to take down prey that is larger than itself. The devil knows this. He whispers, "Don't ask for help. It's a sign of weakness. Don't share your idea. Someone might steal it. Figure it out on your own. That's how you prove your worth." This is a strategy of division and conquest, designed to keep humanity's greatest resource, collective intelligence, fragmented and impotent. It is the lie that you must rely only on yourself. This is one of the most romanticized and deeply flawed narratives in the culture of success. We see it in movies, the lone hero who defies the odds. As his answer in the courtroom revealed, he didn't possess all the knowledge himself. He surrounded himself with a mastermind group that included Thomas Edison, the naturalist John Burroughs, and the tire magnate Harvey Firestone. They called themselves the Four Vagabonds. They took regular camping trips together, not just for leisure, but to engage in high-level brainstorming sessions, to challenge each other's thinking, and to lend each other moral and intellectual support. Ford's genius was not in knowing everything, but in his ability to create and sustain a harmonious alliance with other brilliant minds, directing their collective power toward his definite chief aim. We read it in biographies that oversimplify the journey, focusing on the singular vision of one person. The devil promotes this lie because an isolated mind is a vulnerable mind. A person who believes they must have all the answers, possess all the skills, and fight all the battles alone is a person who is easily overwhelmed, easily discouraged, and easily defeated. You reframe it. Fear is energy. You can either let it paralyze you, or you can harness it as fuel. The next time you feel the cold grip of fear, recognize it for what it is, the devil's hand on your shoulder, trying to hold you back. And then, take one small step forward, right into the heart of it. That single act of defiance is the beginning of your freedom. His body, his mind, everything was telling him to choose a different path. But Demosthenes had a definite chief aim: to become a great statesman and speaker. He saw his fear not as a barrier, but as the very dragon he had to slay. So he went to the seashore and practiced speaking over the roar of the waves to strengthen his voice. He filled his mouth with pebbles to force himself to enunciate clearly. He practiced speaking while running up hills to improve his lung capacity. He faced his fears so directly, so relentlessly, that he transformed his greatest weakness into his greatest strength. He became the most powerful and celebrated orator in all of Athens. Demosthenes didn't wait for the fear to go away. He used it. He danced with it. He made it his sparring partner. This is the secret. After convincing you that you are alone in your fear, the devil's next logical step is to reinforce that sense of isolation. Isolation breeds doubt. When you are alone with your problems, they magnify. The truth that utterly demolishes this lie is what Napoleon Hill considered his most important principle, the secret ingredient in the success of every great leader he studied. Think of it like a chemical reaction. Hydrogen is a gas. Oxygen is a gas. Henry Ford, the supposed lone genius of the automobile industry, was a master of this principle. The story of the founding of the United States of America is another perfect example. The devil confesses to Hill that he cannot penetrate a mastermind alliance. Breaking free from this lie requires a profound shift in mindset, from one of competition to one of creative collaboration. With the individual isolated and feeling solely responsible for their journey, the devil sets the most brutal and effective trap of all. It is the lie that failure is the end. In our society, failure is treated like a disease. It is feared, shamed, and hidden away. We are taught that failure is a final verdict on our worth, a permanent stain on our record. If you try something and it doesn't work, you have failed. Before he built his retail empire in New York City, R.H. Macy was, by all conventional measures, a colossal failure. His story is a masterclass in temporary defeat. His first venture was a small needle-land thread store in Boston, which failed within a year. Undeterred, he opened a dry goods store, also in Boston. It's as if life is testing your persistence, your faith, and your purpose. It transforms the most painful experiences of your life from sources of shame into sources of power. It allows you to mine your past for wisdom instead of burying it in regret. The next time you face a setback, a lost client, a rejected manuscript, a failed product launch. Resist the urge to label it failure. Instead, get out a notebook and perform an autopsy. What went wrong? What went right? What did I learn about myself? About my strategy? About the market? How can I use this information to ensure that my next attempt is better? By doing this, you perform a kind of alchemy. You transmute the lead of defeat into the gold of wisdom. You outwit the devil by embracing the very thing he uses to destroy you. It throws its biggest challenge at you right before you are about to cross the finish line, just to see if you are truly worthy of the prize. The person who understands this principle greets temporary defeat like an old friend. They do not despair. They do not complain. They simply ask, what is the lesson here? What is the seed of benefit hidden in this adversity? How can I use this to make my plan stronger? It failed. He then moved to California to join the gold rush, hoping to strike it rich. He didn't. He opened another store in California to serve the miners. This brings us to the sixth great lie, the siren song for intellectuals and perfectionists alike. You must wait for the perfect plan. This lie is the devil's secret weapon against the intelligent and the ambitious. He knows that people who are smart enough to see all the potential pitfalls and complexities of a major undertaking can be easily trapped in a state of analysis paralysis. They spend weeks, months, or even years researching, strategizing, and refining their plan, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, and the perfect, foolproof strategy before they take the first step. And of course, that perfect moment never arrives. It also failed. He returned to Massachusetts and opened yet another dry goods store in a town where a competitor had a monopoly. It, too, went bankrupt. The logical conclusion, then, is that you are a failure. This lie is the devil's knockout blow. They would have listened to the devil's whisper, you failed 4 times. You are a failure. Give up. Get a safe job. But Macy did not know how to quit. He did not see for failures. He saw for invaluable seminars and what not to do. He analyzed every single defeat. He learned about inventory, location, marketing, and customer demand. Each failure was a tuition payment to the University of Hard Knocks. Within each temporary defeat, he was extracting the seed of benefit, the knowledge that would eventually make him successful. Finally, in 1858, at the age of 36, armed with the wisdom forged in the fires of his previous defeats, he moved to New York City and opened a small store on 6th Avenue. This time, he applied all the lessons he had learned. He introduced innovative concepts like the one-price policy, advertising specific prices in newspapers, and selling items like the made-to-measure suit. The store was an immediate success. That single store grew into the retail giant, Macy's, a household name across the world. After an individual has been exhausted by aimless hustle, disillusioned by the false promise of education, paralyzed by fear, the second, the third, or was each one a necessary, indispensable step on the path to his ultimate triumph? The devil wants you to look at the first closed shop and see a tombstone. The non-drifter sees a stepping stone and worn down by isolation. The experience of a significant setback is often all it takes to make them surrender completely. They retreat from the battlefield of life, convinced they don't have what it takes, and resign themselves to the ranks of the drifters forever. The devil delights in this lie because it confuses a single event with a permanent identity. It takes a temporary situation and frames it as a final destination. He confesses to Hill that one of his most cunning tricks is to use what he calls temporary defeat to induce people into accepting it as permanent failure. This is not just a semantic trick or a feel-good platitude. It is a fundamental reframing of reality that separates the 2% who succeed from the 98% who drift. The non-drifter, the person with a definite chief aim, understands that every setback contains within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. They do not see defeat as a wall, but as a staircase. Each stumble, each fall, is simply a lesson in how to climb better. It is feedback. It is data. It is the universe providing you with the precise information you need to adjust your course and strengthen your plan. He knows that every person pursuing a worthy goal will inevitably encounter setbacks, obstacles, and moments where everything seems to fall apart. These are not the exception. They are a guaranteed part of the process. The devil's entire strategy hinges on his ability to convince the person in that moment of pain and disappointment that the game is over. The universe-altering truth that shatters this lie is that there is no such thing as failure. There is only temporary defeat. One of the most powerful stories of this principle in action is the story of Roland Hussey Macy, the founder of Macy's department stores. At this point, any rational person would have concluded they were not cut out for business. Where is the failure in that story? Was it in the first store? Hill states that one of the most common traits of successful people is that their greatest success usually comes just one step beyond the point at which defeat has overtaken them. This shift in perspective is the key that unlocks the door of this particular cell. Once the fear of failure is entrenched, it gives birth to a sophisticated and highly rational sounding offspring, procrastination, disguised as prudence. Napoleon Hill, in his later years, sought to correct this widespread misinterpretation of his work. Many had read Think and Grow Rich and saw only the grow rich part, missing the profound philosophy underpinning it. He knew that financial wealth was an important and necessary tool for freedom and impact, but it was only one color in the full spectrum of a successful life. It is the foundation upon which all other riches are built. Without it, even a mountain of gold is a burden. To counteract the devil's lie, Hill articulated a more holistic and meaningful vision of success. He called it the 12 riches of life. This is the true treasure map. It is the blueprint for a life that is not just financially successful, but deeply, unshakably, and authentically rich in every conceivable way. It is the wealth of being understood, supported, and connected to others. The devil thrives on discord. True wealth thrives on harmony. The person who understands true wealth knows that it grows when it is circulated. The hoarding of money or knowledge leads to spiritual poverty. Sharing leads to abundance for all. Let's look at this treasure chest. These 12 forms of wealth that constitute a truly successful life. It is waking up excited to contribute your unique talents to the world. It is the opposite of the drudgery of a job you hate. It is the internal peace that comes from knowing you are in control of your own emotional state. It is the freedom from the prejudice and dogmatism that imprisons so many minds. It allows for continuous learning and growth. It is the power to choose the long-term prize over short-term gratification. Get out a piece of paper and write down the 12 riches of life. We see the bars of the prison for what they are: illusions, tricks of the mind, propaganda from an enemy who thrives on our inaction. He admits that his power is utterly broken over any person who anchors their life to a single, powerful principle. This principle is the central pillar of Hill's entire philosophy, the engine that drives all 13 steps in Think and Grow Rich, and the ultimate shield against the hypnotic rhythm of drifting. It is the concept we have touched upon throughout our journey, the creation and relentless pursuit of a definite chief aim. But knowledge alone is not power. It is only potential power. An expose of the enemy's strategy is useless without a battle plan of our own. This is where we move from deconstruction to construction. This is where we assemble the truths we've unearthed into a practical, actionable blueprint for building a life of authentic power and purpose. This is the blueprint of true riches. Then, honestly assess yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for each one. Where are you truly wealthy? Where are you truly impoverished? This simple act can be a profound awakening. It is not "I want to be rich" or "I want to be happy" or "I want to be successful." Those are the desires of a drifter, so nebulous they offer no traction. A definite chief aim is a specific, clear, and vividly imagined objective that becomes the central organizing principle of your entire life. It is the destination you plug into your mental GPS. Without it, you are lost. With it, every decision becomes simple. Every action has a purpose. It will shift your focus from merely making a living to designing a life. And in that shift, you will find the one treasure the devil can never offer you and can never take away: genuine, lasting fulfillment, not because it is unimportant, but because it is the result of obtaining the other 11 riches. Hill taught that financial security is the natural byproduct of a life lived with a positive attitude, good health, harmonious relationships, a labor of love, and self-discipline. Money flows to the person who has first become rich on the inside. A positive mental attitude. This is the master key. It is the ability to control your own mind and direct it toward what you want, regardless of external circumstances. Sound physical health. What good is $1 billion from a hospital bed? It is the spiritual anchor in the storm. He wants you to chase money first, hoping it will buy you happiness, peace, and love. The truth is that you must first cultivate happiness, peace, and purpose, and then money will be drawn to you as a natural consequence. The story of the late Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos, is a powerful modern parable of this principle. He built $1 billion company not by focusing on maximizing profit, but by focusing on a labor of love, delivering happiness to customers and employees. He cultivated harmony, an open mind, and a willingness to share. The financial security followed as a result of his dedication to the higher riches. True wealth includes the energy, vitality, and well-being to enjoy your life and pursue your purpose. This is cultivated through conscious habits of diet, exercise, and rest. Harmony in human relationships. This is the richness of love, friendship, and family. It is the forward-looking optimism that comes from having a definite chief aim and seeing yourself make progress toward it. It's the opposite of the drift or stagnation. Freedom from fear. As we've discussed, this is the ability to live a life governed by faith and purpose, not by the 6 basic fears. The hope of achievement. This is the thrill of the chase. The capacity for faith. This is the ability to believe in the unseen, to trust in infinite intelligence or God or the universe, and to know that you are guided and supported. Willingness to share one's blessings. This is the joy of generosity. To be engaged in a labor of love. This is the profound satisfaction of doing work that you love, work that aligns with your values and purpose. An open mind on all subjects. This is the richness of curiosity and humility. Self-discipline. This is the ability to be the master of yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. The capacity to understand people. This is the wisdom to see the world from another's point of view, to lead with empathy, and to build bridges of cooperation instead of walls of conflict. Financial security. Notice where this comes on the list. It is last. This is the devil's lie turned on its head. Breaking free from this final lie requires you to redefine your definition of success. Now we arrive at the turning point. We have dragged the 7 great lies of failure out of the shadows and exposed them to the light. The devil, under Hill's interrogation, doesn't just confess his tricks. He also reveals what he fears most. A definite chief aim is not a vague wish or a fuzzy New Year's resolution. Let's build this blueprint, step by step, using the truths we've established. Step 1. Define your what with absolute clarity. This is the antidote to the lie of aimless hustle. Forget about hustling for a moment. Sit down with a piece of paper and refuse to get up until you have answered the question, what do I really want? Be specific. If it's financial, don't just write a lot of money. Write down the exact amount of money you intend to acquire. This is the antidote to the lies of perfectionism and the finality of failure. With your what, why, and who established, now you create a plan of action. But you do so with the understanding that this is Plan A, version 1.0. The blueprint is the conscious strategy. But we must now address the battlefield on which this war is fought, the subconscious mind. It is the part of our psyche that has been conditioned by a lifetime of fear and doubt. It's the voice that whispers, you're not smart enough when you sit down to write your plan. It has the feeling of dread that materializes out of nowhere when you're about to make a brave phone call. It has the sudden urge to scroll through social media when you should be working on your labor of love. It is the personification of inertia, the gravitational pull toward mediocrity. Outwitting this inner drifter is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice of mental martial arts. The devil's greatest power lies in his ability to bypass our rational defenses and plant his lies directly into the fertile soil of our subconscious. He does this through a relentless, lifelong campaign of negative suggestion, which solidifies into the habit of drifting. Therefore, our most crucial task is to learn how to actively fight back on this subconscious train. We must learn how to outwit our inner drifter. It will be flawed. It will be incomplete. That does not matter. The goal is to outline the first few logical steps you can take right now, then execute them. As you move forward, you will inevitably hit obstacles, temporary defeats. Instead of despairing, you will treat them as learning opportunities. You will analyze them with your mastermind group, extract the seed of benefit, and use the new knowledge to revise and improve your plan. Your plan is not a static document. It is a living, evolving strategy that gets smarter with every setback. For example, by December 31st, 2025, I will have in my possession $250,000 in cash or assets. This involves consciously cultivating a positive mental attitude. It means standing guard at the gateway of your mind and refusing entry to the thoughts of fear, doubt, and limitation. It requires discipline, courage, and persistence. But it is the only known formula for outwitting the devil and escaping the hypnotic rhythm that holds the majority of humanity in its sway. The drifter wakes up and asks, "What will happen today?" The non-drifter, armed with this blueprint, wakes up and declares, "This is what I will make happen today." This blueprint is not just a strategy for achieving a goal. It is a way of reclaiming your divine right as a co-creator of your own reality. It is the beginning of a life lived on your own terms. It means practicing gratitude for the riches you already possess, even as you strive for more. It means deliberately focusing your thoughts on your definite chief aim, seeing it as already accomplished, and feeling the emotions you would feel if you were already in possession of it. If your aim is creative, be equally specific. By June 1st, 2024, I will have completed the first draft of my 80,000-word science fiction novel. This act of crystallization, of taking a dream out of the ether and penning it down with a date and a number, is the first great act of creation. It transforms a wish into an intention. Step 2. Determine your why and define your value. This is the antidote to the lie about money being the only goal. Beneath your what, you must answer to more questions. First, why do you want this? Your why is your emotional fuel. It must be something that resonates deeper than mere greed. Is it for the freedom of your family? The ability to fund a cause you believe in? The desire to prove to yourself that you can? This why will sustain you through the temporary defeats. Second, and most critically, what of value do you intend to give in return for what you desire? The universe does not give something for nothing. This is the countermeasure to the idea that you can just manifest wealth without effort. You must specify the service you will render, the product you will create, the value you will provide. In return for this $250,000, I will provide the most effective and results-driven digital marketing services to 20 small businesses, helping them double their revenue. This step transforms you from a beggar into a merchant. You are not asking for a handout. You are proposing a fair exchange. Step 3. Build your mastermind alliance. This is the antidote to the lie of self-reliance. Your next step is to look at your definite chief aim and your plan to provide value, and ask, who do I need on my team? List the people whose knowledge, experience, or influence could help you. This doesn't mean you have to hire them. It could be a mentor you meet with once a month. It could be a peer group of 2 or 3 others on a similar journey who agree to meet weekly to hold each other accountable and brainstorm solutions. The act of forming this alliance immediately shatters the isolation that the devil depends on. Step T4. Create your imperfect. First, plan and embrace temporary defeat. Step 5. Master your inner world. This is the foundation that holds the entire structure together. The antidote to fear and the key to acquiring the 12 riches. This 5-part blueprint is the non-drifter's code. It is a system for living with intention. It is simple, but it is not easy. Possessing the blueprint is one thing, executing it in the face of constant internal resistance is another entirely. This inner drifter is the voice of the devil within us. The primary technique for this practice, the one Hill emphasizes above all others, is autosuggestion. Autosuggestion is the principle of communication between your conscious and subconscious mind. It is the act of deliberately feeding your subconscious mind with the thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that are aligned with your definite chief aim. The devil has been using negative autosuggestion on you your entire life. Now, you must seize control of this tool and use it for your own liberation. This is not about simply repeating hollow affirmations. It is about creating a deeply emotionalized belief system. Here is the practical guide to implementing autosuggestion to outwit your inner drifter. First, you must craft your definite chief aim into a written statement. This statement, it will pop up with its usual refrains. This is too hard. What if you fail? You should quit. When you hear this voice, you must not argue with it. We have the knowledge, the strategy, and the internal techniques to outwit the drifter within. The journey of 1,000 miles, the escape from a lifelong prison, the building of an empire, it all begins with a single, decisive step. The chains of hypnotic rhythm, though forged over years, can be broken in an instant. That instant is now. The unchained mind is not a future destination you arrive at after months of practice. It is a choice you make in this very moment. It is the decision to stop drifting and start steering right now. But here, at this final junction, lies the devil's last and most subtle trap, the trap of inaction. He knows that many who listen to this, who feel the spark of inspiration, and see the truth in these words, will nod in agreement, perhaps feel a surge of motivation, and then do nothing. They will close the book or turn off the video, and tomorrow will be exactly the same as yesterday. The knowledge will remain intellectual. The blueprint will remain a piece of paper, and the unchained mind will remain a distant dream. The devil wins not when we disagree with the truth, but when we fail to act on it. Arguing with it gives it energy. Instead, you must calmly and deliberately replace the thought. You simply stop, take a breath, and recite a line from your statement or a pre-prepared counter-thought. If the drifter says, "You'll never figure this out," you respond internally with, "I have access to infinite intelligence, and the perfect solution is being revealed to me now." If the drifter says, "You're an imposter," you respond, "I am becoming more skillful and confident every single day through my actions." This is the practice of mental discipline. You are retraining your brain, carving new neural pathways of positivity and power, which we began to formulate in the last section. The devil confesses that he uses the news media, gossip, and the discouraging opinions of well-meaning friends and relatives to reinforce his control. You must be ruthless in curating your information diet. Stop watching sensationalist news that is engineered to provoke fear. Limit your time with cynical or negative people, the devil's unwitting agents. Surround yourself, both physically and virtually, with content and people that support your positive mental attitude and your definite chief aim. Your mind is a garden. If you allow others to throw weed seeds into it all day, you will spend all your energy just trying to keep it clean. Be a vigilant gardener must be your sacred text. It is the deep, internal training that makes the external execution of your blueprint possible. The drifter inside you is not an enemy to be hated. It is a conditioned program to be overwritten. It is the ghost in the machine. By consciously and persistently applying the principle of autosuggestion, you are performing a system upgrade on your own mind. You are systematically starving the drifter of its power source, fear and doubt, and feeding the hero within you with its proper fuel, faith and purpose. Each time you do this, the drifter's voice gets a little weaker, and the voice of your definite purpose gets a little stronger, until one day, you realize the drifter is gone, and you are finally, truly, the master of your own ship. It should be no more than a short paragraph, written in the first person, in the present tense, and charged with emotion. It must clearly state the what, your goal, the when, your deadline, the why, your emotional fuel, and the what of value your plan of service, for example, by December 31st. Second, you must read the statement aloud twice a day, once upon waking, and once just before falling asleep. These are the two times when the veil between the conscious and subconscious mind is at its thinnest. When you read it, you cannot be a passive observer. You must become an actor in your own mental movie. Close your eyes and see yourself already in possession of your goal. Visualize the numbers in your bank account. See the happy faces of your family. Most importantly, you must feel the emotions. Feel the pride, the gratitude, the relief, the joy. Emotion is the chemical that burns the suggestion into the subconscious mind. A thought without feeling is like a seed without water. It will not take root. Your inner drifter feeds on feelings of fear and doubt. You must starve it by flooding your nervous system with the elevated emotions of faith and accomplishment. Third, you must actively counter-program the drifter's negative chatter throughout the day. Your inner drifter is a creature of habit. Fourth, you must guard the gates of your mind. Your inner drifter is strengthened by external negativity. This daily practice the ritualized reading of your aim, the emotional visualization, the active counter-programming, and the guarding of your mental gates is the work. We have come to the end of the interrogation. The devil's 7 deadliest lies have been exposed, and the blueprint for freedom has been laid bare. Therefore, this final section is not about learning one more thing. It is about doing one thing. It is a powerful, unequivocal call to action. Your first step in breaking free is to choose one of the 7 lies that has had the most powerful and destructive influence on your life. Be brutally honest with yourself. Which one resonates the most? Which chain feels the heaviest? Is it lie number 1, the gospel of hustle? Have you been running yourself into the ground with aimless activity, mistaking busyness for progress? If so, your single act of defiance is to stop. Have you been trying to carry the weight of your ambitions all by yourself, crippled by pride or fear of judgment? Have you been stuck in analysis paralysis, endlessly researching a goal but never starting? Choose your most formidable enemy, your heaviest chain, and take one concrete, physical action in the next 24 hours to declare your freedom from it. This is not a symbolic gesture. It is a spiritual and psychological severing of a tie that has bound you. It is your first act as a non-drifter. Your act of defiance is to identify the absolute smallest, most laughably simple first step of your imperfect plan. Is it to register the domain name for your business idea? To write the first 100 words of your book? To clear a space in your garage for your new hobby? Whatever it is, you must complete it within the next 24 hours. This single, imperfect action is the physical manifestation of your decision to choose progress over perfection. Your single act of defiance is to identify one person who could be a potential member of a mastermind alliance. It could be a respected colleague, a wise mentor, or a trusted friend. He intended it as a liberation manual. The principles he discovered are not theories to be debated. They are tools to be used. The 500-plus titans of industry and leadership he studied were not a different species of human. They were men and women who simply understood these lies and refused to believe them. They chose to live by a different code. They chose to take control of their own minds. And in doing so, they took control of their own destinies. Your task is to send them a single, courageous message in the next 24 hours. It doesn't have to be a formal proposal. You can continue to live within the comfortable, predictable, and ultimately soul-crushing confines of the prison the devil has built for you. Or you can take up your key, walk toward the lock, and take that first, terrifying, exhilarating step into the sunlight. The unchained mind is not a gift that is given to you. It is a victory that is won. Your first battle is against the lie you have chosen. Your first move must be made in the next 24 hours. Begin. It can be as simple as, I deeply respect your work in their field. I am working on an important goal for myself and I would be honored to buy you a coffee for 20 minutes next week to hear your perspective on it. Hitting send on that message shatters the wall of isolation. Right now, schedule 1 hour of complete, uninterrupted silence in your calendar for some time in the next 24 hours. No phone, no computer, no distractions. During that hour, your only task is to write at the top of a blank page, "What is my definite chief aim?" and refuse to do anything else until you have written at least a first draft of an answer. This act of deliberate stillness is a declaration of war against the cult of purposeless hustle. Is it line number 4, the myth of the lone wolf? Is it line number 5, the finality of failure? Is there a temporary defeat from your past that you have allowed to define you, a ghost you still carry? Your act of defiance is to perform the alchemy we discussed. Take out a piece of paper. At the top, write down the failure. Then, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, list all the painful parts of the experience. On the right side, force yourself to list every single lesson you learned, every strength you developed, every seed of an equivalent benefit that came from it. This act reframes your history. It transforms a source of shame into a source of strength right before your eyes. Is it line number 6? The trap of the perfect plan? Pick one, just one. Do not try to tackle all 7 lies at once. That is the drifter's way to become overwhelmed and do nothing. Napoleon Hill did not spend his life compiling this wisdom for it to become shelf-help. That same power is available to you right now. In this moment, the choice is yours.